Okay, so today we're going to compare properties of functions. And this lesson is going to be a great review of all of your favorite stuff that you have learned before Christmas break. So at any time you don't quite remember how to do something, okay, I recommend you going back into your notes and looking at the notes you did with Miss Sutton. Okay, so your learning goal number 3 is I can compare properties of functions given the same and different representations. Okay, and we're going to talk more about what that means later on. So for review, you have slope-intercept form, which is the equation of a line. Okay, m is what? Is your slope. Okay, slope is also called rate of change. Okay. Your b is your what? Y-intercept. And who remembers what else it's called? Initial value. Okay? Or your starting point. Starting value. Okay? So when we do these problems, you need to keep those in mind. Okay? When we talk about your initial value, we're talking about your slope-intercept form. I mean, not your slope-intercept form. We're talking about your y-intercept. When we're talking about a rate, we're talking about the slope. Okay? There's different representations of a function. Okay? So the first kind is a verbal description. So Maria opens a savings account with $30 and then deposits $20 every week. Okay, so we've done this before, okay, again before Christmas, but if not, we're going to write an equation to this word problem. Okay, so remember when we want to write an equation, it's y equals mx plus b. We need your rate or your slope, and we need that initial value, which is your y-intercept. Okay, so Maria opens a savings account with $30. Okay, so she opens up the savings account and she starts with $30. Okay, that is your initial value. So we know $30 is going to be your y-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it here. Okay, this time, since you start with $30, it's going to be positive. Okay, and then deposits $20 every week. Okay, so this is your rate. Every week you're going to put $20 into it. So this is going to be my m. So I'm going to have 20x equals y. Okay, so what we just did is we had a forward description. Okay, we created an equation. So this is the same thing, except it's in a different representation. Okay, if that makes sense. So we're going to use this, and we're going to have another representation, and this time it's going to be a table. So you might be asking me, how are we going to create a table based on those two things? Okay, what do you think? Okay, how do you think we can get coordinate pairs, we can get y values based on these two things? Well, we're trying to find y. We know y equals whatever this is. We're given x values, so couldn't we just plug these x values into this equation? And then we're going to have the value of y? Yes. Okay, so we know y is going to equal 20x plus 30. So we're going to plug in the x values. Okay, so 20 times 0 is 0, plus 30 is 30. Okay. I'm going to plug in 1 for x. 20 times 1 is 20, plus 30 is 50. And then finally plug in 2 for x. 20 times 2 is 40 plus 30 is going to be 70. So now I have my raw values. Now I can create this coordinate pair. 0 and 30. 1 and 50. 2 and 70. Okay, so now we have a table, okay, based off of these two things. Now, if I would have told you to make a table directly from this forward description, okay, and I didn't say you had to create an equation, okay, to be able to create a table, you're gonna have to do an equation, if that makes sense, okay, so you kind of have to. If I wanted you to create a table based on a word problem, okay, the first thing you need to do is create an equation. And then from the equation, you can create a table, okay? But if I want you to graph this, you can do it one of two ways, okay? You can use the equation to graph, or you can use these coordinate pairs to graph. I like plotting points, so I'm going to plot these points, okay? So I have 0, 30, 150, 270. Okay, connect, and I have my graph. So I have 4 different representations, and they all represent the same function. Okay, it's just represented in 4 different ways. So you can have a function and it be represented in 4 different ways, but still all be the same. So all of this is connected, okay? In this lesson, we're going to have to be able to convert between each one, okay? Because each thing is going to give us different information that we're going to need, okay? So we're going to do some practice problems, okay? And then I'm going to do some problems that you're going to see on your assignment, and then you will be off on your own. Like I said, you know how to look at a table and create an equation. You know how to look at a word problem and create an equation based off the word problem. You know how to graph. Okay, so this lesson is nothing new. Okay, it's just being able to compare between the two and to be able to answer questions between 2 different representations. Okay, so you know how to do this stuff. Okay, the only thing that's new is being able to compare the properties. Okay? So I do want you to write example 1 and 2 in your notebooks. Okay? So this says, consider the function represented by the equation y equals 1/3 x plus 2 and the one represented in the table. So I have 2 different functions, okay? And then it says which of the following is true, so I can have more than one answer, okay? So I have this function, so I'm going to call this one a. Okay, y equals 1/3 x plus 2. And then we're going to call this one b. Okay, so the way I would do this with problems like this is I would go through each one, okay, and be able to cross them out if it's cross-outable. Okay? I don't know if that's a word, but it is today. So option A, the equation and table both represent the same function. Now, I'm looking at these two, okay? It's hard to say if they're the same or not. Okay, but this is in slope-intercept form, and to me, it's easier to look at slope-intercept form. Because if they're the same equation, then they're going to be the same function. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this table, and I'm going to create an equation for this table. Okay, and remember what we did previously, okay? We can go from a table to an equation to a table very easily. So this time we're going to go from a table to an equation because that's what we need to be able to answer the problem. Okay, so if you remember a long time ago before Christmas break, if you had a table of values, you can create an equation by picking 2 points. So I'm going to pick the first 2 points. So negative 6, negative 3, and negative 6 and negative 4. And negative 3 and negative 3. Okay, and remember the info box I'm going to create. Okay, and you've done this from Miss Sutton. So if you're having issues with this, please go back and look at your notes previously, because it's very important you know how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to pick either one. I'm going to pick this one. So my x value is negative 6, my y value is negative 4. Okay, I need to find my slope. So I'm going to use my slope formula, which is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Okay, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug in my values. So I have y2, negative 3, minus negative 4. Then I have x2, negative 3, minus negative 6. I'm going to solve it. Negative 3, negative times a negative is a positive. Negative 9, negative is a positive. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Negative 3 plus 6 is 3. So my slope is 1/3. Okay, the only thing left that we have to solve for is my y-intercept. Okay, and I have all the other things. So I'm going to plug in all of these values, and then I'm going to solve for my unknown, which is b. Okay, 1/3 times negative 6 is going to be negative 2. Bring down everything else. Okay, plus 2 to solve for b. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2 equals b. Okay, so once I have my slope and my y-intercept, I can stop. Okay, I have enough to plug into this up here. So y equals, my slope is 1/3 x, and my y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, so now this table, the equation to this table we just found is y equals 1/3 x minus 2. So is the equation and table both represent the same function? Is it the same? No. Okay, what is different between these two? Your y-intercept. This one's positive, this one's negative. So they're not going to be the same. Okay, b, both functions have the same slope. So what's the slope of this one? 1/3. What's the slope of this one? 1/3. So they are the same. Okay, so I'm going to circle b. C, both functions have the same y-intercept. Okay, they do not. This is negative 2, this is positive 2. So nope, not the same. And then the function in the table has a greater slope than the function represented by the equation. Okay, and that is not true either, because they're the same. So my only answer is B. Okay, so this was a long problem, but again, we didn't do anything new. Okay, nothing. The only thing new is comparing those two. Okay, and a lot of times if we are answering questions, it's good that we get it in the same representation. So if this one's an equation, okay, I'm going to make this one into an equation also. Okay, so it's just switching back and forth. That's the main thing. Okay? And again, all this stuff y'all have done plenty, okay, before Christmas break. So again, if you have issues going from a table to an equation, or from a graph to an equation, okay, you need to refer back to the notes Ms. Sutton gave you all. Okay. So let's do example number 2. The graph shows the approximate relationship, okay, to the price per luxury short in dollars and the number of shorts ordered from brand A. Okay. So we have brand A. Sorry guys, the graph shows the approximate relationship in dollars. Okay, so the graph is going to be brand A. Okay, and then the equation is brand B. And with these guys, it's easier if we go ahead and we find this line. Okay, so that way we can compare the two, and it'll be easier before we even start to answer these. Okay, so again, we know my equation to the line is y equals mx plus b. Okay, I need to find my slope, and I need to find my y-intercept. Okay, where does it cross the y-axis? And I apologize, you cannot see the graph paper very good on this. Okay, so I'm going to find out where it crosses, and if I look, okay, it is counting by 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and then this is 20. Okay, so my y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis is 20. Now we need to find my slope. Okay, so I'm going to make my little triangle, connect them. So remember, m equals rise over run. Okay, if you look at this line, okay, if you take your finger, it is decreasing. So when the line decreases, you're automatically going to have a negative slope. So you're going to fall instead of rise, and it's going to be negative. So how many do you fall? Okay, remember, we're counting by 2's. Each block on this side represents 2. Okay, so from 18 to 16, that is 2 spaces. It's not 1 because each block equals 2. Okay, so always make sure that if you're counting by 1s, it would be 1. Okay, but we're counting by 2s, so it's going to be 2. And then my run, if you look down here, okay, we are counting by 10s. So each block will be 10. And so this would be 10. So my rise or fall will be 2 over my run is 10. I always need to simplify it. 2 will go into both. Okay, so 2 will go into 2 1 time, 2 will go into 10 5 times. So my slope is going to be negative 1/5. So I have y equals negative 1/5 x, okay, plus 20. Okay, and that is going to be my equation to the graph. Okay, again, if you have any questions of what we just did, please shoot me an email and I'll love to explain further. But y'all have done this before, but I do not mind reviewing with you. Okay, just let me know and we can set up a Google Meet time. Okay, and so now we have both equations. We have brand A and we have brand B. So now it says, select all the statements that are true. So the starting cost per unit at brand B is $24 per short. Okay. So it says the starting cost. So starting, okay, that starting cost, that starting value, what is another name for that? Y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to look at my y-intercept for brand B. Okay, so brand B, my y-intercept is 24, so that is true. Okay, so they try to trick you up on here, okay, but remember the number beside the x is going to be your slope, and then your constant is always going to be your y-intercept. So this is your B. Okay, B, the rate of change for the function of brand A. So remember, your rate of change is another word for slope, is less than the rate of change for function brand B. So for your slope for A is negative 1/5. for B, M is -1/6. Okay? And that is not true. C, the rate of change for function of brand A, again, rate of change, slope, we're looking at the slopes, is greater than the rate of change for function of brand A. That is true. I'm going to circle C. And then D, the slope of the function for brand A is -10. Okay, that is not true because we know it's -1/5. And then E, the y-intercept of the function representing brand A is greater than the y-intercept for function representing B. That is not true. Which one is greater? Brand B. Okay, so your answers for this one is A and C. So this is asking you, this is actually, you're looking at a lot of stuff. You're looking at the slope, the rate of change, you're looking at the y-intercept, okay, you're looking at all these things, okay, and it really helps if you can convert this line to this equation, okay, so you can automatically compare the two equations together. Okay. So we're just comparing them. So before I release you to do work on Freckle, I'm going to actually pull some problems from Freckle just to make sure, okay, that you are prepared to do my Freckle problems. And let me find the sheet and I'll be right back. So don't worry about copying down this or anything. I just want you to pay close attention to my video. Okay? So Alina's, I think that's how you say it, Girl Scout troop savings increased by $80. Okay, so A represents your money. For every G boxes, G represents boxes, of cookies she sells. As shown in the equation, Bianca's troop savings increased. Okay, so as shown in the equation, Bianca's troop savings increased $B for every G box she sells, as shown on the graph. So the graph represents Bianca's. Okay, and then the equation represents Alina's. Which girl's troop earns more for each is your keyword, additional box of cookies sold? Okay, so they want to know which one, okay, earns the most for each additional box, or each box, each, okay, so we're talking about slopes. Okay, so remember, G represents boxes. We're talking about your slope. So we need to find a slope for both, okay, and then we need to compare them and see, okay, which one earns the most money. Okay, so for this one, it's easy. Elena's, the slope is 4. Bianca's is a graph. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in. Try to. Okay. You might just have to trust me with this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to pick 2 points. I'm going to pick that one, that one. Okay. This line is increasing, so I'm going to have a positive slope, so it's going to be rise over run. Okay. I am counting by ones, so I'm good with that, so we can do it normally. So I rise 1, 2, 3. I run once. Okay. So it's going to be 3 over 1, which is 3. So who has the greatest slope? And that's going to be Lena's. Okay. So she's going to own more for each additional box of cookies than what Bianca's would. Okay, so remember, just paying close attention to those key words. Each is a key word, okay, for your rate. Okay, it is your rate. So, okay, so again, if If you have any questions, please let me know. So I want you to do number 2. Again, we're still talking about Girl Scout cookies. So go ahead, pause this video, okay, and then we'll talk about when you come back. Okay, so it says Allen's Girl Scout troop savings increased by $8 for every G boxes of cookies she sells, as shown in the equation. And it's very important that you always label which representation goes with what. Okay? And then it says Beyonce's troop savings increased $B for every G boxes she sells, as shown in the graph. So we know the graph represents Beyonce's. Okay? Which girl trap earns more for each additional box sold? Again, we're looking at the slope. Okay, so for Allen's, my slope is, there's not a number beside that G. So what would my slope be? Do I have one? Yes, okay. If you don't have a number, there's an understood one beside that G or X. So my slope is 1. Beyonce's, again, we're going to have to look at the graph. I have to zoom in. There we go. Okay, and that gives us 2 dots already. And if you look, you have to pay really close attention. Okay, so it's counting by 3s. Each box is by 3. Okay, so boxes this way is by 3, and then my Y boxes is also by 3. So this line is increasing. I'm going to have a positive slope, so I'm going to rise. Okay, remember each box is 3. So 3, 6, 9 is my rise. And then my run is going to be 1 box, which is 3. So 9 divided by 3 is going to give me 3. Okay. And you can always look at this part and this part and say 15 minus 6. Okay, will give you 9. So just pay really close attention to why each box, how much each box is worth, because it's not always going to be 1. Sometimes you're going to be counting by more than 1. So looking at the slope, which one is going to sell earns more for each additional box? Okay, and that is going to be Beyonce's. So here's another example of one you might see. Compare the function represented by the equation with the function represented by the table. Which function has a greater y value when x equals 0? Okay. Anytime x equals 0, okay, we know it's going to be on this line right here because this is 0. Okay. So that point is going to be anywhere on this line. What are these also called? Your y-intercept. Okay, it's going to be the point where this line crosses through the y-axis is when x equals 0. So anytime you see y value when x equals 0, you're always talking about your y-intercept, or b. Okay, don't let that mess you up, trip you up. Okay, when x equals 0, your y is going to be, that's going to be your y-intercept. It's going to be where it crosses the y-axis, because x equals 0 is going to be somewhere on this line. Okay, and whatever your y value is. So we're looking at your y-intercept. So my y-intercept for this one is easy. We know it's -4. However, this one is a little different. Okay? How do you think I'm going to find my y-intercept of that graph? First, you want to see if they gave it to you. Do you see any zeros on the x? Nope. Okay, so we're going to have to do it the long way. We're going to actually create an equation, which is good practice. So pick 2 points. I'm going to pick these 2. And this is good review for each check-in too, because if I remember correctly, they love, okay, to test you on this concept of making equations from 2 points. Okay, I'm going to have my info box. Okay, and I need these two to be able to create an equation. So I'm going to pick one point, pick this one for 11. I need to find my slope between these two. So I'm going to write out my slope intercept. I would always write out your formula, even if you claim to know it, because you can make mistakes. Okay, y2 is 5, 13. y1 is 11. Then 5, and then 4. 13 minus 11 is 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 divided by 1 is 2. My slope is 2. Now we have everything but b in the slope intercept formula. So we're going to plug these values in, solve for b. And my slope is 2, x is 4 plus b. 2 times 4 is 8. Bring everything else down. Now this is a one-step equation. 11 minus 8 is 3 equals b. Now I have my slope and my y-intercept. Now I can create an equation. So I have y equals my slope, which is 2x plus 3. And this is the equation of the line. Okay, and this time, now I can easily look and say, oh, my y-intercept is 3. Okay, so which one has the greater y-intercept value? And my answer is going to be what? The table. Okay, 3 is greater than -4. And I didn't even have to create an equation. As soon as I found my y-intercept, I was fine. But this looks horrible. I'll give you my answer key. My answer key is written much nicer. Okay? When I'm in a hurry, I like to but so when x equals 0, that is your y value is going to be your y-intercept. Very important that you know that, because on Freckle you might get a problem just like this, okay, and you're going to have to go through the process. Okay, you're going to have to create an equation. You're going to have to do all of this for that. And again, step-by-step instructions are in your notes. Okay. So that is going to be all for today. Okay, again, if you have any problems, please let me know. Freckle, okay, I just showed you every different type of problem you might come across on Freckle, so you should be set. If you need to, just go back and watch this video. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.